What is the first step to a salad? This isn't two recipes which I'm going to give you and you're going to go away and make over and over and over again until you and your whole family and friends are sick of them. So in lots of countries around the world, you'll think of a salad and you'll just think of like iceberg lettuce and a few chopped tomatoes and just like, it's like rabbit food, right? Leaves in a bowl. I will never feel satisfied from that meal. Right? So this is giving that creamy texture. So when you're thinking about the volume, again, only you know the size of your tray in your oven. You need to spread it out so it doesn't have to loads of space between it, but it can't be like completely piled up. You've queued me up well. Because that's exactly what I want to talk about today. So the first one is to your point. This isn't two recipes which I'm going to give you and you're going to go away and make over and over and over again until you and your whole family and friends are sick of them. I'm trying to give you a formula, like a step-by-step formula, so that whatever's in your fridge, whatever's seasonal, whatever comes in your veg box or whatever's in the market, you could use that to make different salads and have good ideas on the structure of a salad. So that whether you go to a different country, you could just look at the market and kind of start to figure it out. The other thing I want to mention before we get started is about gut health. So this is the Happy Gut Lab, like a series of workshops that we want to do all about gut health. The first one is about salads in collaboration with Farmizen, because for a happy gut, we have to feed it lots of veggies, lots of fruits, and lots of a mixture of different types of fiber. Basically, it's a fiber game, right? It's all about fiber. So we can really get a lot of intake of fiber with salads. But as you mentioned, like when we think salads, we think raw vegetables. So in lots of countries around the world, you'll think of a salad and you'll just think of like some iceberg lettuce and a few chopped tomatoes and just like, it's like rabbit food, right? It's just like leaves in a bowl. Like I will never feel satisfied from that meal. It's not really about the flavor or the balance or the texture. It's just like healthy, and basically it was considered diet food for a long time. When we then think of a salad again, firstly, it's very much a side dish. It is not the main event. Is it satisfying to eat a plate of like what we would call an Indian chopped salad, like a side salad? Nah, it's not. But what I really want to like spread the word about salad, like, you know, the root of the word is just meaning like a bunch of mixed up stuff. It doesn't need to mean raw. I certainly don't mean raw when I'm talking about salads. So what I want to really go through today is a 7-step process, a formula, a loose kind of like step-by-step guide of how to build a really good salad. We will talk about dressings, it's so important. But there's certainly not like a focus on raw. Are raw vegetables good for you? Yes, they are. Does that mean you should only eat raw vegetables and indeed eat an entirely raw diet? Not according to the most recent nutritional science. You don't need to do extreme stuff, guys. You do not need to switch to an entirely raw diet to be healthy. Equally, if you find that you're eating very, very little raw food at all, no raw crispy veggies, no fruit at all, probably introduce some. Like variety is the key. And when you mentioned variety, I was very happy. That is what a good salad is all about. It's about getting maximum variety of different whole foods into one bowl and it actually tasting good and being satisfied. That is what I want you to leave with today at the end of today. So basically, I'm going to talk you through my 7 steps and kind of simultaneously make 2 salads as we go along. But I'm not going to give you the recipe, I'm going to give you ideas. So if you want to make notes on your phone or whatever, you can. Yeah, sure. I'm chill about that. We are also recording this as a live, so if you would like to watch it again, then you can. Okay, so what is the first step to a salad. I always do think for a really satisfying salad, it has to have something, some kind of pulse or grain. That's what's going to make it satisfying and give you a blend of carbs and protein. So the reason I'm starting with this first is because I'm thinking chronologically. If you were to build a salad, what would I need to think of first in order to, in order to be able to prep it properly? So you can soak your grain and cook it in advance and let it cool down. That's why we're going to talk about grains and pulses first. Honestly, there's no real order, right? But let's talk about it first because chronologically you'd have to think of it first. So when we're cooking pulses and grains, firstly we want to soak them first. That is a little tip. It isn't, I really do believe the science was very overhyped. If anyone's heard anything about grains and pulses being anti-nutritious unless they're soaked, I mean, it's largely hysteria. But of course, for your digestion and for activating certain, unlocking certain nutritional components of the pulse and grain, it's best to soak them. The bigger the bean, obviously, the longer you have to soak it for, right? If it's a rajma or another big bean like a double bean, you want to soak it for longer. Then these masoor dal, I just soaked them for like 10 minutes before I started cooking them. So that is giving you some digestion and nutritional benefits. And so you want to think about that first. Now, the other thing we need to think about when we're thinking about a dal or a pulse for a salad is, can this dal hold its shape if I cook it? Because we're not trying to create a literal dal, like we don't want a smushy, like pasty situation in our salad, obviously. It needs to be able to hold its shape. So black masoor dal, or what we call whole masoor dal, is a really good option. It's quick to cook, it's super nutritious, full of fiber, it tastes great in a salad, and its yellow counterpart, like the split dal, when it's orange masoor dal, is not so good because it's really hard to cook it without it becoming mushy. So just avoid that kind of thing, because obviously your salad, you don't want it to be like pasty. So for this salad, our pulse base is black masoor dal. I would highly recommend it for salads. It's great. Black urad dal also is good because it also holds its shape a lot better than like the yellow one, because it hasn't had its husk removed. Green mung is great also. We actually used to have a green mung dal salad on our menu here. Maybe I'll bring it back just for variety. Mung is great. Mung, you can like honestly cook it and it won't overcook. This you have to be careful and not overcook it. Obviously rajma also is great in a salad, especially if you're going for a Mexican thing. So this comes down to whoever mentioned flavor pairing. So if you want to think, like, your pulse is honestly versatile. Really, it's okay if I'm going with an Asian-y vibe salad to start with masoor dal. Like, it's not a big deal. But I do like to kind of start to think about like what is regional and what kind of makes sense. So black masoor dal is very commonly used in, it's a different version. They call it green lentils or pui lentils, but it's very, very similar to this in the Mediterranean. So this salad, which I'm making on this side, is a bit of a Mediterranean vibe salad. And this salad on this side is a bit of a mix, but it has a bit of an Asian vibe on this side. So that is kind of in my head how I'm differentiating them. So if I was thinking about rajma, what kind of cuisine might I put that into? Like a Mexican or an American or like a South American thing. So that is how I would think about that. So to start with, I'm just going to put some of this in here. I am making really big salads because I really want you guys to be able to try like a decent portion at the end. Obviously, when you're making a salad just for yourself, the good thing is I will talk about what you mentioned, which is about how to make a salad and then keep it fresh for longer. Basically, you can do the first few steps and miss out the last step, and just which is adding the leaves and the toppings, and you just do that each day. So you can absolutely meal prep for a salad. Like, I have cooked like literally a kilo of masoor dal here. And if you were to cook, say 500 grams for yourself, that would literally give you 4 salad portions, right? And you could keep that in the fridge with the other cooked elements, having tossed it and put your dressing and everything. And then each day, the last few things, I'm giving away the whole thing, but the toppings and the leaves could be added each day to keep it fresh, like what you said.
How long is usually the duration if you make breakfast for today that's quickly?
Like if I made this salad and then I kept it in the fridge, like I didn't leave it lying around or whatever, like honestly, it will keep for 4 days in the fridge, 4 or 5 days. You may not want to eat the same salad for 4. Like I don't really recommend doing that. Like we wouldn't do that. But if you're talking about when it would stop tasting like good, and I would say 3 to 4 days. That is a question I can't answer, my friend. So what I feel is portion size is entirely dependent upon you. My portion size, what is right for me to eat as a salad, is dependent on me. It's dependent on what my nutritional needs are, which in turn changes day to day. So if anyone has ever told you because you know you need to eat this much grams of this and this much grams of this and you should never go over that, I'm sorry, but like that isn't, again, like prevailing research now, what it's telling us. The portion size that's right for you will also be different whether you're tired, whether you did exercise yesterday or today, whether you're stressed out, whether you've done work this morning, whether you're thirsty. Like literally hundreds of things that would feed into both your appetite and your nutritional needs. And the idea that like every one of us in this room, split by gender, needs to eat the same amount of like calories per day without any variation between us or within us is just not the prevailing wisdom now. You have to really judge like what leaves me satisfied. And that is where we get into the mindful eating, slow eating, and hunger scale, which is the other workshop which I love to teach, which is all about slowing down your eating and making sure that you don't rush through your food and accidentally eat double the amount you need. Because you're right, there is an amount that's right. There's a sweet spot for you on a specific day, according to your needs that day, that your body actually knows. But you won't know it unless you slow down, close your eyes, like really try and tune into where is that moment where I'm kind of done. Now, at the beginning, it can be a little scary because you may feel like, I don't know, and like, I'm just going to overeat because I've got like unlimited food. But you have to trust your body, that your body is actually trying to enable you to eat the right things and the right amount. So the correct portion, I can't say. It depends also whether this is a side salad on the side of like a protein or whether this is going to be your main event of a meal. So like most of you probably, if you're customers of Copper+Cloves, have at one point eaten one of our salads. Half the time we have to pack the salad for the customer. They can't even finish it because it's so nutritious, filling, packed full of stuff. It is not a bowl of leaves and it is not just chopped raw vegetables. So actually these salads are satisfying and they can fill you up. But whether you get filled up in order to actually like slow down and be able to know when you're full is all about the speed and the mindfulness with which you eat. So that's a bit of a long answer to a very simple question, so I apologize.
What's your view on organic groceries?
Yeah, so basically I do believe that we should buy organic whenever possible. It's a bit of a difficult situation in India with how organic is certified, etc. But in general, of course, it is safer to ensure that you do try to buy from organic sources for both your pulses and your fresh produce. There is like a helpful list which is called, it's kind of like based on global research, not so much in India. Actually, I would love Shamik's take on this, but called the Dirty Dozen and the Clean 15. The Dirty Dozen is a list of vegetables which largely should always be purchased organic. Like if you're having to budget accordingly, for example, they're ones where the pesticide is sprayed directly onto the part that you eat and therefore it's very, very difficult to not come into contact with those pesticides. The Clean 15 is when pesticides are used in the growing, they tend to not be found so much in the part you eat. Maybe they're on the root or the trunk or something which you'd never come into contact. I think mango is an example of that. So like you don't have to worry as much. Also like things where you don't eat the skin, just like logically, you may find, you're worried about less compared to say leaves. But a lot of root things like ginger, for example, absolutely you should buy organic because it's in the soil. Then that's also where, the chemicals are. So if that's something that you can do, then that's really important. So basically, yeah, we should all buy organic if we can afford it. Like buying organic food, if it's a privilege that you can afford, I think it's probably worth it on the basis of what Shamik has said. So yeah, thank you. So now I'm going to talk about the amazing pulse that I'm going to use for this salad, the more Asian-y inspired salad, which is avrakai. So Shamik was kind enough to send many, things of avrakai. So that if for those that know, it's it's a very indigenous. Exactly. So that's why we wanted to, when we were talking about this workshop, we discussed that avrakai was in season. So rather than doing something which we can get all year round like chana or another pulse, we decided that the pulse for this salad would be avrakai. It's similar. I mean, for those of you that don't know what is avrakai but do know what is edamame, it's the closest thing I can think of. It's not as brilliant green as edamame, but it also comes in a pod in that sense. And it's fresh, it's a little, it's full of fiber, it's very good for you. So it's it's like a broad bean, that we have in.
Festival that happens on this bean, and they make jalebi on this.
I heard about that. It's like a whole avrakai festival that was started like in the late 90s. Yeah, it just happened, yeah. It's not. It's really not. It is like an edamame. It's not something which is then dried, correct? It's not dried and then cooked later like other white beans. It's actually a fresh bean like edamame.
Yeah, like sweet pea.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I heard about that festival. I feel like next year I'd love to go to that festival. Yeah. It's like an avrakai festival. Yeah. So nice. Okay, so in this case, I've put a bean, and I'm also going to put a grain. So I just want to show you how we can put grain. So in the cafe, we use either millet or quinoa, or sometimes we use black rice. Some rice that would really hold its shape. Obviously, we don't want to put rice that has been cooked to the point that it is mushy in any way. But if it's holding its shape, then millet, any kind of millet, or quinoa, black rice, jowar, barley, all of these grains are just fab in a salad because they will give you a mixture of carbs and protein. They'll absorb that really nicely. And when we talk about satisfying, that's my biggest thing that from a chef perspective I want you to take away today, that this feels satisfying. What makes something satisfying? Does the idea of eating like a chopped cucumber and onion and carrot salad sound particularly satisfying? Like, in your head that it wouldn't. If you ate a big bowl of it, you just wouldn't feel like it was satisfying. What gives us satisfaction is different textures, different types of flavors and foods coming together in one. So that is why we want to have a grain and a pulse. It's just interesting for our mouth, and that is what makes things satisfying, just from the satisfaction perspective. From the nutrition perspective, the more whole plants we eat in one meal, the more we're winning. Okay, so back to our Mediterranean salad. So now we've talked about the pulses and the grains that can be the basis of any salad. So that is our step 1 and 2. Now we want to think about our cooked vegetables. Again, chronologically, we'll have to take care of the cooked before, we get to, the later ones. So in this case,
So are the beans and pulses get soaked and boiled?
yeah, you have to soak and boil them as you would normally. So if you're going to pressure cook them, you have to pressure cook them. So these ones, I just boil the avrakai. And I actually, because this is also easy to cook, I just boiled it. I did not pressure cook it. But if it was chickpeas that I was putting in a salad, which is a very, very good, I mean, if you're stuck for ideas, like everybody has chana, right? Like you can just soak it and pressure cook it. It's easier to pressure cook it. Like you have to pressure cook it, right? But you want to do less whistles than if you were making it for some kind of, you know, chole dish, like something which would have a gravy and a sauce. Because you don't want to risk taking it too far and it becoming a mush. So maybe just like 2-3 whistles, or you can take the time to boil it so that you can really see. Why I boiled these isn't because like it's not possible to boil them, but can you see what's happening? Like it's like this. It's not dropping like sections. So that is really important. Like I have seen this go wrong in people's salads where that is the thing that went wrong, basically, that they cooked the dal until it was mushy and then it was in clumps falling like a clump. So that is why it's easier not to pressure cook it, because it's much too easy to go over and make a mistake that way. But the good thing is you just start boiling and just leave it. Yeah. I do. As a chef, you're always taught like you don't season everything at the end. Every individual thing should have its own flavor. So another thing you can do at this stage, which maybe like I'll just do as a demo, I have a bit of olive oil here. So to that point, which was your question was, should you salt it? Yeah, definitely. Because if the salt is inside the bean, sorry, it's a little, it's tastier than if there wasn't. And adding salt at the very end to make the whole salad taste good isn't how you approach things as a chef. It may make sense, right? Like, okay, I don't want to add salt because then how will I know at the end what to season it? But really you have to season everything as you go along and layer that up. So the salt is in the bean. So yes, that's a really good question. Thank you. I always salt the water so that there is salted water in the bean. And when people ask about like, are you worried about salt? No, because I eat only food like this and fresh food and not packaged food like crisps and pre-packaged food where the levels of salt are insane. And that is the problem with salt. The problem with salt is not seasoning your food correctly. To my lovely salted masoor dal, I'm just going to add a drizzle of olive oil. Why am I doing that? For exactly the same reason. It's just nice to get a little bit of flavor and texture into this base before I start layering additional flavors into it. Right?
Usually you add it at the end again.
I'm going to add a dressing at the end. I'm going to talk about dressings, do not worry. But I'm talking about why I would, for example, maybe put a bit of pepper, maybe some chopped herbs through this part, and then also add things later. Why? Because the more you can flavor each section with fresh, wholesome things, but with flavor, the more your salad at the end will be satisfying. Rather than being like, cool, I'll just chop everything in and then the dressing will take care of it. Actually, in our salads, like sometimes, you know, we've tossed the chickpeas in a little bit of chili flakes and dried herbs. You will not necessarily pick that up. But it is what makes the difference between how a chef thinks and maybe how we think when we're cooking at home. That you want to infuse flavor at every layer. Now,
Can we like avoid adding olive oil, any oil?
yeah, you don't need to. It's just an example of something I might do to add texture. If you're trying to consume less oil for any reason, obviously just don't add oil. And I have got an oilless dressing for you, which I'm going to show you for this salad. But for me, I'm not trying to avoid cold pressed oils because it's healthy and, you know, I'm not on any kind of like, I'm not trying to control any like amount that I eat, and I'm actually trying to increase the amount of healthy fats that I eat. So for me, adding a bit of olive oil just to add that flavor and richness into the lentils themselves, and then they will absorb some of that and it will bring a richness into the base, is something which I am doing. But it's optional.
Have you tried salads.
Yeah, definitely. If you can afford avocado oil, I would definitely use it.
But
Yeah.
then what kind of, like, does it go in Mediterranean or
It's a really all-rounder, honestly, avocado oil, because it's not a too strong a flavor. It's very, very healthy, and it is expensive though. Like, it's insanely expensive compared to other oils. But if you can afford it, then I would recommend it.
And the quantity should be less than olive oil or like equal amounts?
Equal amounts. Oils, generally, we just do equal amounts. And I'm going to talk about lots of different types of oils that we could use. So my friend Apu has kindly brought in some chopped herbs at the exact moment, which I was hoping he would. So, like, again, for this same reason, as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to add some chopped herbs into this base to add additional flavor into the base.
What herbs are these?
So this is parsley. The best things we can use, parsley was sent beautifully wrapped in it. I just want to show you how Farmizen sends their greens to you. It's so nice. It's wrapped in this leaf and kind of sewn and just tied with rope. So we were the reason I kept some out was just to show you how nice it is, and to decorate like this workbench. But basically, the herbs and the leafies come like this. So I just took the parsley, picked the leaves, washed it, and chopped it. And I'm just...
So what role do parsley, rosemary and thyme play?
Okay,
Substitute them?
so I will separate out right now. Parsley is in one camp with mint, dill, and coriander. Think of that as one camp. Around the world, it's called different things, but we can call it soft herbs, soft leafy herbs. Thyme, rosemary, sage are different. Parsley is actually with our traditional Indian herbs, even though it's not a traditional herb we use here. But its nature and the way you should think about it is leafy. It can be literally sliced, pick the leaves, wash them, shred them or don't shred them, pick the leaves, whatever. Mint, dill, coriander, parsley are all like that. There's other herbs which we rarely encounter in India, like tarragon, same, they're like that. Sage, rosemary, and thyme, as three examples of commonly known things, are what we call woody herbs. They do not taste good if you just chop them randomly and put them in a salad in any kind of large quantity. You could put a tiny bit, or you could take dried versions of that and like put a half a teaspoon, but they're not leafy herbs. And therefore, they will add a bitterness and a bite into your salad that you don't want. They are perfect. So to move on to my next thing is about cooked veg, because that's the next thing you'd have to think about chronologically. So,
What about, just on the herb thing, what about garlic? What do you call it?
pardon?
Kale.
Kale, I have it.
Okay.
It's not a herb. It's a leaf.
The genus was one of the soft greens.
Kale is a leaf. It's not a herb. Yeah. So first right now we're talking about herbs. So herbs actually comes later, which is like in the one of the later stages, but it's fine. We can talk about it whenever. Think about your herbs. Are they leafy? Can I shred them and add them into my salad and they just be mixed in? Dill, very pleasant to eat raw. Mint, coriander, parsley, all very, very pleasant to eat raw. Can they be cooked? 100%. Yes, they can. But they can be eaten raw and they add flavor, fragrance, their freshness, and they're the same texture as a leafy green.
What basil?
And basil. Sorry, how could I miss basil, the star of, and it grows so well here. Basil, thank you. Basil is like the fifth, those five, perfect for salads. Rosemary and thyme, think of it for your cooking. Sage also, we don't really get it here, if I'm honest, like I rarely see it. It also has a furry, like it doesn't taste so good raw. It tastes good cooked. The kale and the arugula and other leaves and lettuce, that's in a separate camp. That is my final step. Huh?
That's the leaf section.
There's a leaf section and there's a herb section. Herbs, you should the soft herbs freely in your salad. If you've got any mint left over in most of our fridges, everybody has a bunch of mint, everybody has a bunch of coriander, am I right? So like just wash them, chop them and put them in your salad. Definitely.
And what's the best way to store all these herbs in the
Yes, good question. So the best thing to do for longevity, I mean, if you receive them in something lovely like this is great to keep it like this. Unfortunately, if you're like receiving things in plastic wrap, which sometimes it does come, the best thing to do is to remove it from the plastic. What we do is wash it, dry it thoroughly, but then wrap it in, either put it in a, in a box. We have a lot of boxes, like, you know, where you can then like seal the box, or you wrap it in a wet tissue, and then keep it in the drawer in your fridge. So there's different ways you can keep it fresh, but like for a home situation, those are the two best ways.
You mentioned about herbs like thyme, rosemary, those are not mostly used here.
Yeah.
What about miso and things like that?
Miso will come to in the dressing. Herbs, I'm just talking about the difference. When you said parsley, thyme and rosemary, you were asking. So, for example, another thing I like to put in, another thing that I like to put into salads is roasted vegetables, not boiled vegetables. So this is where I'm going to get a bit controversial and just talk about what I think, not what is literally possible in the world. My opinion, to be clear, is that boiled vegetables, once you've boiled your pulses, stop boiling stuff. Like, I remember when I used to work in the Godrej building in Bombay, and there was a salad bar. And it was run by like a catering thing, and there was a salad bar there. And each thing had a boiled vegetable in it. So carrots were chopped, boiled, and then kept in a steel thing like this. Beans, like long beans, were chopped, boiled, and then kept in a thing like this. Boiled sweet corn, boiled peas, boiled potato, everything was boiled. And then you had to make a salad. You could ask them, I'll make this, I'll make this, I'll make this. Personally, I'm not criticizing or saying it's wrong or like bad, but personally, that was not fun for me as a consumer. It was like like the taste felt removed, the texture was uniform. And the biggest problem with boiling is it's actually not the best way to cook a vegetable. I mean, at the very least, you should steam it, because if you boil it, unfortunately, nutrients get leached out into the water. If you're boiling a soup, that's fine, because you consume that water. You'll blend it in, or it's a broth, you'll also eat the water. If it's a curry or like how we traditionally cook vegetables, it's fine, because we eat the water as well. But for boiling it for a salad, like you're just throwing away that water. You cannot add that water into your salad, obviously. So you've lost some nutrients, but you've also lost a lot of the excitement of vegetables. And that salad bar was like, I kind of dreaded it, to be honest. So what can you do instead? You can roast vegetables. So I'm going to talk about two different types of vegetables. Again, how I categorized herbs so that mentally, this is not some species categorization, by the way, that I was talking about with herbs. Like, they're from all different families, and I don't know exactly, like, if you were to draw some kind of biological diagram. I'm talking about, as a cook, this is how I separate them: woody things and leafy things. So for vegetables, sweet potato, carrots, beetroot, pumpkin, nolkol. Are you seeing the theme? Yeah? Of like hard underground vegetables. They are not, they are actually, lots of them are related to each other, but actually pumpkins do not grow underground. They're actually like a gourd. So is a zucchini. But zucchini isn't in this category. Hence why I'm saying this is not the official categories. I need a chopped apple. Okay. Yeah. It is not the official categories. It is the way I think about them, the hardness of them. So I want to roast them, okay? I do not want to boil them so that they're just soft and flavorless and uniform in color and texture.
When you say roasting, do you use oil?
Yes. You can use a little bit of oil. You actually need minimum oil compared to frying. If I needed to fry these potatoes, I would have to use a lot more oil. So what I've done with the sweet corn is, it was sweet potato. What I've done with the sweet potato is chopped it into even sized cubes. Not tiny, tiny, and not like perfect to dice, but into cubes. And it was raw at that time. Now, because this is organic produce from Farmizen, and I trust Shamik a lot, and he knows his stuff, I did not peel this sweet potato. Why? Because a lot of nutrition is in the skin. I scrubbed it. I didn't do it. Somebody else did it. I'm sorry. But if I was at home, I have like that nice wooden, you know, that wooden bristle thing? It looks really nice. I just scrub it like that on the outside to largely make sure that any dirt or dust has been removed, but I'm not trying to remove the skin altogether. I want the skin. If you're buying produce that you don't trust and it's not organic, you may want to actually peel it. Why? Again, for the same reasons as like ginger and everything, it's in the soil. If you don't trust the soil, maybe remove the outer layer that was in contact with the soil. That's the only thing. So I first cut it and we scrub the outside, but you can see it has the skin on it. That is good actually when you're roasting. Now, for these hard vegetables, the one in the category I said, this is my tip, and it is for lazy cooks like me at home. So basically, I put this and pumpkin, I also chopped it on this side, also with the skin. I did not remove the skin from the pumpkin because Shamik sent it to me. Yeah, you want to wash it for sure because it might have dust. Even if Shamik has like ensured the farm is making it perfectly, it's still been on the road. It's still been in the van to get here. So we wash it and then chop it. And then we'll take a minute to talk about ovens. Who has an oven in their house? Good. What kind of oven is it? Oh, air fry. Excellent. Air fryer is very good for salads, as I've recently discovered. So does anyone have like a proper built-in oven that's like built into your kitchen? Wow. You're lucky. I've never seen one in any house I've tried to rent in India. It's not common. And when I first moved here from the UK, where every single kitchen will have one of those, because that is just some traditional way of cooking in the UK, I was like really worried. I was like, what am I going to do? I literally only know how to cook via the medium of roasting. But what I've realized is OTG tabletop ovens from Chroma, from, you know, these Morphy Richardson ones, they're not expensive. They cost between 3 and 5K for a decent one. They are fine. They roast things really well. And I have been roasting vegetables in them absolutely fine since I moved here. If you have one of those ovens, an air fryer is brilliant. Air fryer just uses less oil and you can roast vegetables in it. It's essentially, air frying is a very confusing name for the piece of equipment that it is. It is not a fryer. It is an oven. It's roasting things, in my opinion. Like it's moving them, but it's much more like an oven. So I don't know why they called it an air fryer. I think it's just a catchy name for a piece of equipment that is largely an excellent oven. So whoever has an air fryer, all of this can be done and better because you get a nice crispy outside with using hardly any oil and soft on the inside. But I'm going to talk about cooking in a tabletop OTG oven. If you have a microwave, which is also an oven, that is where you'll struggle. That is not good for roasting. Is that what you have? Sorry. But I'm not trying to be the bearer of bad news because the OTG is very inexpensive to buy. It is a good piece of equipment for cooking things in a nice way. So what I found is you can roast things in a microwave, which also turns into an oven, but it doesn't work as well. It's too much of a chamber that doesn't allow steam out, and therefore everything just is soggy. Do you find that?
I haven't tried that.
Yeah.
The science is different.
Yeah, the science is different. It's a chamber. It's a sealed chamber. Yeah.
Boil the water inside that versus putting heat from outside.
Exactly.
Not really roasting, it's steaming it.
And then a microwave definitely can't do this. But these microwaves, which supposedly are also heat source ovens, don't work as well. You'll never get the crispy bits, which I'm going to talk about in a second. Anyway, that is the thing about ovens. The other thing people are going to ask me is, what temperature and what time should I roast this thing for? So I will talk about that now. So basically, if you see these potatoes which I've roasted, you can even pass this around. It's a little heavy. But just look at it and tell me, like, what are you seeing about that, which is, like...
In the veggie section, the zucchini, broccoli, and the mushroom, how do you classify and where do you use them?
I will use them in a salad. I will not use them. To me, they're nothing like this, what we're talking about now. They are in my next section, which is about soft veggies. Again, not a biological term.
But now, what about roasting in the pan?
Yes, you can do it. If you don't have an oven, you can do it. Why would you do it? Literally, why? Because you're used to it, right? You're used to making a sabzi. Thank you. So could you see that it has like golden brown bits on it? Not burnt, but there's like golden brown bits on it. Golden brown bits on vegetables is flavor. Like, it is the flavor. It gives so much caramelization. Can you get this from roasting in a pan? Yes. But like, why would you do that? You need more oil. You do need more oil because the heat source is just coming from one place, and like, you just do, right? Everybody instinctively knows that. You'd have to have a massive thing to do the same quantity. Plus, you'd have to stand there the whole time stirring it. In the oven, you don't have to do that. That is why lazy girl cooking, according to me, involves an OTG, an air fryer, or a built-in oven, not the microwave thing, because you can just put it in, and apart from taking it out once and like shaking it, you don't need to do anything. You can do other things. You can go and read a book, or you can get on with the other prep that I'm like talking about now. If you're cooking something like a sabzi over a pan, you can't just leave it. You have to keep it moving. So it's just annoying. Plus, you'll have to use more oil. So for those two reasons, and also it will not taste as dry for a salad. It will be more like a sabzi added to your salad. So you can, if your oven is broken and you really want to put like potato in your salad, then you can. But I wouldn't honestly recommend it. It's just my opinion. But if you kind of get what I'm saying, like it's not as, it would be harder to get it dry like this. So, but to your point earlier, this is a sweet potato. It was very hard and starchy when we started. So how do we cook it in the oven? The best thing to do is to put it on a tray, use a little bit of oil, and this is now where your hard herbs come in. Chop your rosemary, strip it from the stem, chop it finely, toss it in the sweet potato, or take your thyme or your sage, other hard herbs, and toss it with it, and then put it in a tray. And use your hand so that it's evenly coated. It should not be swimming in oil. You don't need to see any layer of oil at the beginning. You just want to see that the raw potato is glistening. Yeah, it is. It is. You can use any cold pressed oil. When it comes to oil, don't use refined oil. Use cold pressed oil, and don't stress too much about anything else. I mean, I'm just talking about general nutrition because I think it's so easy to read an article that's like, oh my God, we've just discovered that coconut oil is actually causing a heart attack. We've just realized that if you ever cook with olive oil, you're probably giving yourself. Use cold pressed oil and don't heat it to smoking point and reuse it. Like, just use good quality cold pressed oil. I think everybody in this room is privileged enough to be able to afford cold pressed oil, and use it sparingly, but do use it. So I would not use coconut oil for this because I don't want the coconut flavor in it. But any cold pressed, largely flavorless oil you can use. Roasting is not high temperature. Like, it's not like when you fry things, you're like heating oil really high. Roasting, we're keeping it at around 180, so it's all good. Okay, so we have to keep going. So basically, the pumpkin or the sweet potato is in my roasting tray. Because it's hard, I first need to soften it. Otherwise, to try and get this golden brown on the outside, I might burn the outside and the inside is still raw. So what do? I cover it with foil. But basically, with that, you don't obviously put foil in the air fryer, I don't think. You just put the raw, and then how many times you need to keep checking it and everything. But it does do a good thing, which is basically it cooks the inside and then it starts to crisp the outside using minimal oil.
And it is different than how the OTG behaves. So.
It is different. The OTG, firstly, you have to keep it, you have to shake it. Air fryer, I think it's sort of like, you don't need to for some reason because it's like moving it around.
Can we store these afterwards?
Yeah. These will store in the fridge. So then okay, now I'm going to put a lot of these into here. But then, I mean, if we're going to talk about meal prep, you could make extra, right? And then you could have some cooked sweet potato, and some cooked pumpkin, say you've made both. You put some all together in a salad, blend some into a soup the next day. Not so much sweet potato, but then you could have your pumpkin. You still have some cooked. It will stay good in the fridge for several days. You could smash some and put it on a toast or in a wrap made of leftover fulka or whatever you have in your house. There's a lot you can do once you've cooked the veg and it tastes nice. Definitely this will store in the fridge and you could keep it and use it for something else. You could use it for a sabzi the next day because it's already cooked, so it would just be quick to make it.
We can also make it as a mash.
Yeah, in a salad. No. Don't mash stuff and put it in a salad, generally. Because you want your salad to be tumbling. Tumbling means it's like this. If it's clumpy, it's not going to really feel like a salad. It's going to feel like a dip thing. So, yeah. Again, I'm just giving you my strong opinions. It's not that it's wrong, but I do want to guide you so that you can make a salad that you feel is really good. Okay, so I'm going to add some sweet potato into this. Sweet potato is super nutritious. Again, I'm trying to but nobody asked me exactly how long you should cook it for. But actually it will depend. This oven, which we have in our kitchen, will be different than your OTG oven at home. And your OTG oven at home will be different than your OTG oven at home because a different brand, it might be older, the seal on the door might have gone, the temperature thing has been slightly, so you have to judge it. This is where cooking is about using your senses. The bit about the steaming thing, largely it doesn't matter that much what the temperature is, but how long it then takes you to achieve this golden brown situation really depends on your oven. It's not the one is better than the other because my mum has a really hot oven and I always burn stuff in there by accident because it just goes so fast. It's not actually great. It's quite nice to be able to shove something in the oven, leave it in there for 25 minutes and know that it's going to slowly get golden brown, then feel in 10 minutes it could be black. So that's again why I'm a big fan of the OTG ovens. They aren't as efficient, I'm not going to lie. In a commercial kitchen, you'd never have one because they are not energy particularly efficient. But for a home cook, they're actually great because they're slower to cook things. And when you're trying to get things to be golden brown, you want to cook things slow and low. Carrots, beetroot, anything, if you left it in there, it will slowly basically shrivel up. So the liquid is leaving it. Unlike in your microwave where it can't get out. It leaves it and it caramelizes the natural sugars, not unhealthy, the natural sugars which are in the vegetables concentrate in that vegetable. They make it sweeter. And that is not a need for a moral panic about sugar. These are natural things in vegetables and they will provide that caramelization, literally caramelization, that golden brown color. It will make it delicious to eat. So that is why we like it. So right now my salad is looking like this. And my pumpkin, I did the same cooking method. I'm going to add it into here. Again, so the temperature really, really depends on your oven. My OTG now is kind of on its last legs after 6 years of using it. I need to crank it like 20, whatever, 220, whatever its max is. I sort of crank it and it still won't burn it. But your brand new OTG oven, which you buy tomorrow because you love this workshop so much, might be 180. But anything below 180 is going to take you too long. So you want to think about 180 as your like minimum. Baseline, thank you. And then up to there, it really depends on your oven and what is the vegetable. So these were our hard vegetables, but you can see the steaming, like it's still tumbling, right? It is not a mash. It's not stuck together. That is because first we steamed it, but then we immediately, if I kept it in there with the foil for ages and ages and ages, it would steam and steam and steam, and then I'd remove it, I'd try to pick it up, and it would smash. So you have to keep it whole, undercooked, and then remove the foil. So it's not raw. If a raw pumpkin, you're trying to get it to golden brown, the risk, like I said, is that by the time the outside is golden brown, the inside is still raw. By the time the inside is cooked, the outside is black. That can happen.
The structural integrity.
You lose it, yeah, exactly. Exactly. Thank you.
Is there any alternative to using foil?
To using foil. Yes, it depends on your cooking vessel. So you can, if you have the kind of pan that can go, this does exist, but I haven't seen it that much in India. There's like this silicone thing which can go on the top instead of foil. It's a replacement for foil. It has like a lid which you put on it, which is made of silicone. It acts exactly like foil. It makes it like an airtight chamber, and then you can just remove it. Much better for the environment. I just don't have many of them here. But abroad, you can easily get it in a cooking shop. That is the only thing I know. Unless you have unless you have a pan with a lid that can go in the oven, that would also work. Like if you had a wide pan, like there's a new brand called Ember. I don't get any money from when people buy it, but I do really like it, and I'm kind of an unofficial brand ambassador purely because I love it. So they actually do have a wide pan which has a lid with a metal handle that can go in the oven. So you could use that as your airtight chamber and then remove it. If it's a saucepan, like this shape, you're again going to have the problem of they're too much piled on top of each other. You need something flat where you can spread it out. That's another really important point I should have mentioned. We have a really, really big oven in Copper+Cloves, which is why we could cook this volume of sweet potato, spread it out flat. If I was cooking in my home oven, which is why I didn't do that, I mean, you would have to have it like piled like this. That is obviously not going to golden brown up, crisp up in any way. So when you're thinking about the volume, again, only you know the size of your tray in your oven. You need to spread it out so it doesn't have to have loads of space between it, but it can't be like completely piled up. Do it in 2 batches if you need to, like if you're cooking for a lot of people. But yeah, that's the thing. You can't pile it up. So you need a pan which is flat and wide. Like a tray is ideal, you foil it. From an environmental perspective, if you don't want to use foil because it's wasteful, then you need a pan that's wide and has a lid. Keep the lid on and then remove the lid. Okay, back to so these were the hard vegetables. Sarah's categorization of the hard vegetables. Now I want to talk about like a soft vegetable, which you could put into a salad. In this case, it is a red capsicum. I love red capsicum. It is so nice and sweet, and I don't like, this is my opinion, okay? It is not fact. I don't like green capsicum in a salad. So you'll never see green capsicum in anything that we make here or in my house. It's not as sweet, it's more slightly bitter, and even it doesn't look good in a salad. This is just my advice, okay? There is nothing wrong with putting a green capsicum roasted in your salad per se, nutritionally, or like, it's not wrong, but if you're trying to impress guests when they come over, don't put green capsicum in your salad. It just doesn't look good. Yellow is fine, but we went with red for this one. But a mixture of red and yellow and orange is actually best. Now, this you do not, we've roasted it again. We also have nice little brown bits on it. They're not golden brown so much as like a little bit of char. Again, we did not peel it, certainly not. We just washed it. We cut it into fine strips, spread it out in the oven, tossed it in a tiny little bit of oil and salt, and then we kept it spread out on the tray. And it does not need the foil part. Like if you're roasting this, you can skip step 1, which is to put it with foil. It's soft enough, it will cook in 25 minutes without you having to worry about the inside being different than the outside. It won't be like that. So in this case, I'm putting this roasted red peppers. And again, they have kind of, like they're still separate, like they're not one piece, but they're soft. They will become soft.
You add some seasoning to that?
Yeah, we just add some herbs. Like if you have like dried herbs in your house or salt and pepper, you can.
What kind of dried herbs?
Anything.
Thyme, rosemary?
Yeah, thyme, rosemary because it's going in the oven, or like you get like an Italian herb mix, that kind of thing. Yeah, that works really well.
You said you're giving it a Mediterranean touch, right?
Yeah.
Do you also, I mean, if you want to do it at home, you can use some feta cheese and
Yeah.
walnuts.
Yeah, exactly. Now we're talking. This is the fun part. Now we've built the base, we can start to get creative. What else could we put in it?
Fruit, veg.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad you said that because from a both flavor and gut health perspective, adding ferments into your salad is just so satisfying and good.
What are some fruits like apple or?
Yeah, perfect. I'm coming to fruits in a second. So fruits is the next step. I consider that an entirely different step, which is to add something sweet. So everything in this so far is savory, except maybe you could say the sweet potato.
And jalapeno and pickled cucumber?
Yeah, perfect. Literally perfect. So again, you want to think about your flavor profile. So like a pickled chili or a pickled jalapeno is like perfect in that Mexican salad, which I would put rajma. I'd put coriander instead of parsley. I'd maybe put some charred corn, not boiled, charred. So again, you could like roast it and then slice off the thing. If you have avocado, you can honestly put it in any salad, like anything. Commercially, we don't buy imported anything, so we have to wait for avocado season before we add avocado to our salad. But I mean, nowadays you can get avocados year round. It goes in anything. It's like literally, I can't think of a salad that it doesn't go in. The Mexican one I was saying, this one, that one, Asian, anything it goes. But like thinking about the flavor combo now is when you started to bring it all together into like a specific flavor vibe. So Mediterranean, it's got fresh herbs, it's got some sweet potato, which is the hard vegetable, it's got a soft vegetable. Could you just get some fresh cherry tomatoes chopped? I'll just, like in quarters.
What other examples are for soft vegetables?
Yeah. So any capsicum, tomato. So I've also, for this salad, roasted, we were sent again by Shamik some lovely tomatoes, which I slow roasted in the oven. I didn't cut them, I just slow roasted them whole. Yeah, the little ones, baby, whatever you want to call them, baby tomatoes. So they will be little flavor bombs, right? They're like all the flavors contained within them.
This is also with this.
Yeah, with the skin. Just wash them carefully. If you, I mean, I'm sure Shamik can talk to us about washing vegetables properly. But basically you want to make sure that you've really soaked them.
And where would you start? Going back to my previous question, broccoli and mushroom.
Yeah, these are the soft vegetables. So broccoli, what I would do with it is probably steam it. So till it's brilliant green. And when I say what I would do, like this is what we do in our Asian salad. We steam the broccoli lightly until it's brilliant green, and then we keep it on ice So we don't want it to go that dull, overcooked color, and we don't want it to be mushy. Broccoli is a great ingredient in a salad, but it shouldn't be in big chunks. Like, keep it into small. Zucchini, I would roast it like a soft vegetable. To me, it's best roasted. You can like chop it up small into small cubes or very, very, very thin slices and put it in a salad. Personally, again, it's just my opinion. It's best if it's roasted. It brings out the flavor of the zucchini. So if we're talking about soft vegetables that we want to cook, we'll come to raw. We will come to raw. But if we are talking still about cooking, I would say tomatoes, cherry tomatoes work really well because you can just roast them whole. Other big tomatoes, you can sort of maybe put them into slices and roast them, but they might work better raw. Cherry tomatoes work really well cooked. Normal tomatoes work really well as your raw component, which we'll come to.
And you don't need to mix it.
It's best, honestly, but I am lazy and I don't if I'm making it for myself. But yeah, if you want to add raw tomatoes, like a big tomato, you probably want to scoop out some of that seeds because it will make your salad a little wet. Yeah. But if you are talking about mushrooms, yeah, they go great in a salad. Personally, I think they're better cooked than raw. Some people, like my dad, just puts like raw mushrooms in a salad, but it's not appetizing to me. So I will always like slice them and like roast them basically in the same principle. You don't need to cover them in foil. In fact, that's the last thing you want to do with mushrooms because they'll get very flabby and slippery. You kind of just want to dehydrate them a little bit and get that color on them. Same with zucchini. Broccoli, honestly, broccoli and cauliflower. Cauliflower is also a soft vegetable. You can just slice it up. I mean, not slice it. Break it up into those pieces, florets, toss it in some kind of seasoning and roast it. And then let it cool down and add it. You want like some brown bits on it and it's yum. If you just boil it and put it in your salad, it's not very exciting, honestly. It doesn't look good.
So for the smoky flavor for the broccoli and the
Yeah.
cauliflower, you might want to pan toss it for a...
You can roast it also. Cauliflower is best roasted. Broccoli is the one thing I could say could be in its pure steamed form because it will act like a sponge for your dressing. Like it will absorb the dressing in its little gaps. It's hard. There's no rule, right? I'm literally giving you my instincts. My instinct is with broccoli, you're better off. You can roast broccoli. It's actually delicious. But what will look really good in this salad, for example, is if I had perfectly steamed broccoli that was bright green in small pieces and I added it just before I added my dressing. But if I had cauliflower that was cooked like that, I would roast it before I added it to my salad. I can't exactly explain in words why, but my chef instinct is that is better, tastier, trendier, more on point. I can't exactly explain why. Zucchini as well, you can put it raw, but from definitely objectively, zucchini's flavor is brought out through roasting and caramelizing it. The same with red peppers. You can put red peppers and yellow peppers raw in your salad. You can, but I would never do that. No copper and clove salad in any of our branches or anything we've ever done has raw peppers in. All the chefs are like learning this on their first day. They're like, why? I'm like, I can't explain it. But celery also and peppers, when they're raw in a salad, to me are like very jarring and they just, but it's not objectively true. Some people might like it. They might like the crunch. Personally, I just hate it and I impose my opinion on my menu and on this workshop.
How is celery used?
Don't talk to me about celery. Celery to me is the base of a stew. Then it's excellent. Cook it down, chop it like onion and use it as the base of a stew in what we call a sofrito, which means like the base of something. So like onion, garlic, celery. Do not chop it up and use it in raw food unless you for some reason love the taste of it. Who loves the taste of celery raw? Some people do, but nobody does, really.
What about spring onions?
Yeah, they're great, but I'll come to that as a garnish. So I forgot to add my fresh herb into here. I mean, I didn't forget, it just only came. So this is coriander. So this is an Asian vibe salad. It's not a pure, nothing is pure. That is, coriander is nice, mint would be nice. But I'm just gonna put loads of fresh coriander in, almost as a leaf, right? It's one of the leafy components, but I'm just gonna stir it through. So
Would you recommend the regular coriander or the nutty coriander for adding to this?
I literally don't have a strong opinion. The one with the flatter leaf. But in my experience, like sometimes there seems to be very little difference. But the leaves on a coriander, if anybody is familiar with like picking leaves like that you do in your regular cooking, when the leaf is like very thin and it doesn't have any surface area and it's almost like rolled up at the end, that one doesn't taste good in a salad. It's not good raw. But the leaves, which we pick when they're like flat and they don't look like dill, they look like flat leaves. Which one is that?
That is the hybrid coriander.
Yeah, okay.
The nutty one has stronger smell.
Yeah, it's
But-
better for cooking. That is my thing. Okay, sorry. Then you've helped me clarify in my own mind. I just knew by look I would know. So it's the hybrid that actually works well in the salad, and the traditional, it works best in the cooking.
What's your tip to get really fluffy quinoa?
Yes, good. Do not overcook it. Do not overcook your quinoa. So I soak it for 10 minutes. I like to cook it with turmeric and salt and a squeeze of lemon, but that's just for flavor. That's going back to my first point, which is get some flavor and seasoning into every section just purely because that will layer and make it tastier. But the key thing is, honestly, there is a trick of exactly the right ratio and getting it there, and it absorbs it perfectly. But it's like a whole thing, and it's not foolproof, because if your pan, for example, has a very thin bottom, you can actually accidentally end up burning the bottom of it in that. So like there are these tricks which, as you get used to doing it over and over again, you can do it a bit like if anyone in this room is like really good at rice. Some people are like that. They're like, oh yeah, I'm so good at rice. You know, I put in exactly the right 2-to-1 ratio, and then I boil it, and exactly no water is left. And then I put the tea towel and I put the thing, and it just steams and it's perfectly fluffy. And like, that is not me. It's too precise. And I'm not very good at precise cooking. So you just cook it for 10 minutes. And the minute you see it go from being a whole thing, like a small dotty thing, to opening out a little bit, turn it off, like put a cloth over the top for a few minutes, and then drain it. And yeah, never. Yeah, yeah, you will have done, yeah.
Sir, I had a question. So you said, when you are adding protein and building the
Yeah,
base,
yeah, yeah.
So you try to add salt and
Yeah.
you try to give the flavor for each of the ingredients.
Yeah,
However, when you're adding sweet corn, when you try to
Yeah.
add salt, it leaves some water, and then ultimately your salad will become a gooey mess.
yeah. Sweet corn.
Yeah, sweet corn.
Sweet corn, yeah, I don't cook it in
I mean, do you use it in salads in the first place?
in Mexican salads.
Okay.
I use it.
So how do you use it then if you don't want to use salt because it leaves water?
You're right. You have found one thing which I don't put salt in the water. I just boil it. The best, honestly, if you want, like if you're having a dinner party, buy real corn on the cob. It will look better. And boil it, pan fry it. This is again breaking my own rule. Pan fry it, and then slice the corn off whole and scatter that on the top of your salad. It will look like a restaurant quality. If you buy the boiled sweet corn, and then, like you say, cook it in salt, and then it will always look a little bit basic. This is again just my opinion. Like, I'm just trying to give you these tips on like restaurant quality versus like where maybe we go wrong a bit. It's like that boiled sweet corn, which I used to have in my salad bar at work, didn't look appetizing, whereas when you like roast it and char it and then like slice it, and it's still kind of in these like sections, do you know what I mean? When you cut it, some of them are still stuck together. It looks restaurant quality. You want a little bit of black on the outside. That's my advice for sweet corn. Back to your point, do not pressure cook small millet other than bajra, and do not pressure cook quinoa. It's cooked too quickly. It's not like rice. It will cook too quickly. You'll never be able to get that al dente. So that's actually the biggest tip. Do not pressure cook it. Yeah. Okay, we have to move on and wrap up soon. So I will just now tell you the uncooked vegetable, which I'm, sure. The uncooked vegetable which I'm putting into here is raw cherry tomatoes, because that is nice. It's very Mediterranean. But at this point, I don't want to like mix it too much. I don't want to smush them up. So I'm going to come back to that. I want to talk about sweetness, okay? Everything we've talked about so far has largely been savory. So we can add fruit, not loads, but we can. So what is some fruit we should add? Should we add banana? No.
Strawberry.
Yeah.
Green apple.
Pomegranate.
Yeah. Basic mango, amazing. Pineapple when it's finely chopped. There's loads of things, but do not put banana in your salad. But this is exactly what I mean about chef's instinct. Everybody in this room has a chef's instinct not to add banana to either of these salads. Can't exactly explain why, because it's not exactly a science, but that is what I mean about instinct when I'm talking about like why I hate putting raw capsicum in. It's just an instinct that people don't like it as much. But banana is just plain wrong, just like don't do that. Pomegranate is my favorite thing. Anybody who's eaten here knows that I'm literally obsessed with it, and I'll put it in everything. Why? Because it holds its shape perfectly. It will give you a burst of sweetness and tartness when you eat it. The texture is beautiful because it's not going to get mushed up or like, it's not going to be affected by the salad. It is going to add only to the salad, and it adds texture and flavor. So that is why we're adding lots of these in, and I'm going to save more for garnish. And in this one, we're putting apples because that is a nice fruit which holds its shape. We could have also, honestly, if it was mango season for an Asian salad, I would put mango. Not raw mango, but mango which is not super pulpy, but just a nice sweet mango. That would be my best advice. If it was a Mexican, you could put pineapple. Nice, finely chopped pineapple. We do put pineapple in our salads, sometimes.
What about citrusy fruits?
Yeah, it also works, but not at this stage. You want to put it on the top. If you put it in as you mix it, it will fully mush. But a nice orange like or mosambi or grapefruit is good, but you need to remove all the white pithy thing. You need to slice into it, so it's a little hassle. Honestly, that's why you see it more in restaurants. It's a chefy thing to do, because to cut it into those things is a little chefy. Okay.
If you put mango at this stage, wouldn't it also get a little soggy?
Depends on the mango, yeah. You would want to like put it at the end maybe, but it depends on your mango. Like if it's a pulpy mango, definitely you need to be very careful or not add it at all, because you don't want to make a fruit salad or like a smoothie bowl salad situation. But if your mango is ultimately, when you're slicing it, holding a dice, then actually you can, because you'll be able to mix it. But I'm not kneading it, to be clear. If you see, my fingers are open. Like I'm not squishing it or kneading it like dough. I'm very much mixing it like this. At home, you're not making it in these quantities. You can just use normal salad tossers. Like this is just a chef's thing which we're doing. Okay, now.
Just for the crunchy factor, how would you categorize the nuts like almonds, walnuts?
Yeah, can I come to that at the end? Because I have a whole section on nuts. That's my last step. My final step is about nuts and crunch. You have to put crunch in your salad to make a good texture, to make it exciting, and that is what we'll talk about. But it has to go at the end, because if I put nuts in now, they will, almost like how you soak nuts overnight, like they change. That isn't what we're trying to achieve here. So we'll do it last, but it's a great question. Yeah, but that is a whole other salad if we're honest, right? You could shred finely a mango and toss it through this. You could do that. But no, you could do that. That would be nice. You could take a raw mango, really finely shred it or dice it and add it to the salad. It would be nice. But you know, everybody knows that famous Thai salad, or even in India, there is a salad based on raw mango, and that is not what I've come here today to teach you, because it's a very specific salad and it breaks pretty much every rule I've said, so it would be awkward for me to try and like teach it. But you know, like that salad would be more like a recipe. Like you go and you learn how to make that Thai raw mango, raw papaya salad. It has its own recipe. It isn't a general salad. But actually, you're absolutely right. As a crunch factor, like the raw veg rather than the fruit, it could be a raw mango. It would actually be really nice. I like that. I think we could do that actually. Okay, can I talk about two different leaves? I definitely don't. I'm good. Okay, one of my favorite, anyone again who's eaten at Copper+Cloves, there is a reason why there is kale in absolutely everything. Okay, this is what kale is like. This is the type of kale, because to your question earlier, now we're on the leafy part of the salad. But there's two different types. One is lettuce and arugula, and one is kale. There is a reason why Copper+Cloves use kale, and it's because it holds its shape in a salad, it doesn't become soggy. But you can't just put it like this. Like, if everybody looks like, actually you can pass this around. So this is curly kale. It's available on Farmizen and also other, like all other things now. And there is a reason why I'm a big advocate of kale. And if anyone's ever heard me talk about salad before, like I'm not a fan of like iceberg lettuce. I don't think iceberg lettuce has any place in modern cuisine. Again, it's just my opinion. But there are other nice lettuces. But kale really is a nutritional powerhouse because it's a brassica. It's dark green leafy. It's full of nutrition. And culinarily, it is brilliant to work with both raw and cooked.
Yeah, I got a suggestion that, whenever you cannot do with quinoa, try to get this in. For the nutrients it adds.
Yes, it does add value. So now we're going to come to dressing, because this is the thing I'm about to teach you, which is for your kale, you want to add the dressing into the kale, massage it, and then add it into your salad. Whereas for a lighter leafy, a lettuce or a arugula, you will add it on the top, and you don't want to mix it inside. So there's a different order.
Is this because it is tough to eat kale by itself?
Yeah. You want to do your digestive system a favor by massaging it. So that is when actually having a glove is very helpful. So I've taken some of the dressing, I'm going to talk about dressings now, and I'm going to massage it. Whereas I'm not going to do that to the arugula, because can you imagine what will happen to this if I massage it like this? It will become like a pulp. Again, you know that. It's your instinct that knew that.
Why does the dressing help with digestion?
So the dressing doesn't, but the act of massaging it does. So sometimes we just massage it with olive oil and salt. But in this case, I really want to like get flavor into it. So I am massaging it. And it's reduced in quantity, so now I can add a bit more.
What is the...
Yeah, so now we'll talk about dressings. Okay, Asian dressings are amazing. It's easy to get a lot of flavor into it. And luckily now in India we have all these things. Soy sauce or tamari, we use tamari, it's gluten-free. And
Miso?
correct, you guys love miso, I think. You have some at home and you're wondering what to do with it.
Kind of started working with it.
So miso is great because it's fermented and it's healthy and it is an umami bomb, as we say, like it's a flavor bomb. So this dressing is a ginger miso dressing. Okay, generally the ratios you want to work with a dressing is 2 parts oil or 3 parts oil, fat, to 1 part acid. And then you add your flavor makers on the top of that. Yeah. Okay, I'll tell you I do 2 parts fat to 1 part acid because I like tangy things. I love vinegar. I can literally drink it neat. I love lemony things. And so I do 2 to 1. Or you can, meaning if I have a tablespoon is 15 ml, I would put 2 tablespoons of olive oil, just say for the sake of argument, and 1 tablespoon of lemon or 1 tablespoon of vinegar. So 2 to 1. So if I'm making more, I would put 4 tablespoons of olive oil and 2 tablespoons of vinegar.
I have a question, one sec. So we have vinegar and lemon together.
Yeah, you can mix it up. So then, say other people prefer it less tangy, you would do 3 tablespoons of oil and 1 tablespoon of acid. But largely, these are just rules of thumb, what we call rules of thumb. You can break them very easily, but that is a good rule of thumb to start with before you feel confident to play around. Between 2 and 3 would be normal. Now, whatever that 1 is, it's acid. I've said acid, not vinegar, not lemon. You can do a mix. Most of our dressings, we do a mix, honestly, in the restaurant.
And tamari is also part of that acid.
No, for tamari is flavor maker. We'll talk about flavor maker afterwards. First, it's just that ratio, because where people go really wrong is they put too much vinegar because it seems weird. Like when you do it in a jar, it seems weird to put that much oil and so little vinegar. So then they put a lot of vinegar.
And what kind of vinegar you have? An apple cider?
Yeah, apple cider. I mean, again, there's many types of vinegar. Do not use like white spirit vinegar, obviously.
Yeah, brown miso and white miso in India.
Yeah.
Is that brown?
Actually, this is white. This is brown because of tamari. The vinegar in this, like in an Asian, you get nice Asian vinegars like rice wine vinegars. They're also really nice to use. Honestly, at Copper+Cloves, we universally use ACV for everything, apple cider vinegar, because it's fermented, it's with the mother. So don't buy sorry, I'm going to say a brand, but like, don't buy the imported brand, which is filtered and it's removed the mother, which is a healthy, gut healthy thing. So you don't want that. Actually, what you want is ACV with the mother. We're committed to using local vinegars, but you can use balsamic vinegar, it's nice. Personally, I think it's like massively overrated in the world. Like, why is everyone so obsessed with it? It does have a very unique flavor. And then if you're only using balsamic vinegar for all your salads, you're going to feel like they all are the same. Apple cider vinegar is much more neutral, and so is lemon. So then you can really get your flavor bomb into it. And balsamic vinegar, it's the star because it has its own flavor.
But lemon works equally well.
Yeah. If you prefer lemon, just use lemon. I prefer vinegar. If I'm at home, I'll only use vinegar. But at the cafe, we use a mixture of lemon and vinegar for the acid. Now you've got your exciting part, which is your flavor bombs. In India, you can easily get any type of miso now. It's amazing. There's someone called Brown Koji Boy, that's his brand. He's making different types of miso out of different kinds of beans in India, in Goa, and you can buy online. And you can get really interesting types of miso. I would really recommend, if you want to like splurge and get something chefy, get that. It's fun.
What miso is very good?
So you can get, honestly, if you want all miso is good. All miso is good as long as it's made in the traditional way. I can vouch for like Brown Koji Boy, and we also use, it's called Brown Koji Boy, BKB. It's a brand. I'll write it down for you afterwards if you can't find it. You can buy it online. It's really good.
This has ginger miso.
Yeah, okay. So that is your base. We've just talked about that ratio. You decide. You want less acid or more, do 2. So I'll put it in a blender basically. Then I'll put a piece of ginger. Just throw it in there. And a clove of garlic, just throw it in there. And a big spoonful of miso. Not too much. You can always add more miso and add more tamari. You can't take it away. It's salty. Again, you're not once you've got your ratios, you're thinking in tablespoons, right? Say 2 tablespoons of oil, 1 tablespoon of vinegar. You probably don't then want another tablespoon of tamari. The flavor makers would be less. So maybe you put a teaspoon of tamari, a teaspoon of miso, a little piece of ginger and a little piece of garlic, and blend it until it makes a smooth paste like this. And then, if you need to, you can add a sprinkling of jaggery or date. Because sweetness, the salad dressing should not be sweet. But you've put 2 very salty things in and something acidic. You want to balance it. Exactly. It's to balance it. It's not to then make it. You shouldn't be able to taste it. The only way I can describe it from a chef perspective is it takes the edge off. If something tastes a little salty and you add a little bit of jaggery, you don't try to make it sweet. Just gives it depth, basically.
Yeah, you just want a neutral profile for your.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can use honey. It's not vegan, so we don't use it. But we use jaggery.
So the oil and the acid form the base, and over the top of it you can add in.
Yeah, all the flavor bombs. So we've talked about Asian flavor bombs. So this is what the kale looks like now. It's halved.
So
And I've put it.
Based on the quantity, you want to massage it for 2 to 3 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Until it's just like a little bit less fibrous looking. And now I'm going to mix it in. And on the top of this, we could put any kind of crunchy thing, like sesame, toasted seeds. I have some toasted seeds here.
Chia seeds.
So chia seeds is the one seed I don't recommend putting in a salad, because chia seeds, if you've had a chia pudding, it plumps up suddenly and has a jelly-like structure, the same like a basil seed, so you actually don't want to put chia seeds. Any other seed, you can. But those seeds, the ones which go like jelly in liquid, it will really mess with your salad. And also they're prone to clumping. So you don't want that. Save it for your muesli and your granola or whatever.
So probably like pumpkin or almond or walnut.
Yeah, perfect. So in this case, I'm putting hemp seeds on the top. Hemp seeds are, like you asked me about crunchiness. This is not very crunchy, but the avrakai has a good bite. So that's why I don't know why I'm adding for protein some hemp seeds on the top, and I'm garnishing this. And then I'm going to put a little bit more dressing on the top as well, because right now I've only put it in the kale, and so like everything deserves to have dressing, and we'll mix that through.
How long does the dressing stay?
Oh, dressings, because they're mostly oil, will keep in the fridge. So anytime you're making a dressing and you're really like putting a lot of ingredients and blending it like this, just make loads. Keep it in a jar and keep it in your fridge, because the dressing, it will honestly keep for weeks, like 2 weeks. Easily it will keep for 2 weeks because it's oil. Yeah, I always do jam jars. So I'm going to show you. Now I have to keep switching gloves because now we've got to a flavor stage, not just a mixing stage.
Do you sell this?
No. I'm very hesitant to get into food production, honestly. It's a whole other ball game. But we do make great dressings, so we probably should.
Dressing, whatever you said, oil and
Acid.
and all
Yeah.
that, you just blend it and
Yeah, blend it and it will come like this. This is a blended dressing. This is a blended dressing. So I use a NutriBullet. It's my favorite kind of blender. It's NutriBullet. You can get it on Amazon. It's honestly my favorite kind of blender. It has an amazing blade. So even if you put like a chunk of ginger, you can just keep blending it. It's very, very safe because the blade is the lid, so it cannot run unless the lid is on, if that makes sense. So from a safety perspective, from a home thing, it's the best all round. It can make a juice, it can make a smoothie, and it can make a dressing and a paste really well.
And very easy to clean also.
And it's very easy to clean. Just, it's hard to explain, but like just the nature of it compared to a mixie jar, it's easier to clean because you remove the blade and you just rinse it under the tap and it just cleans. Yeah, I'm a big, big fan of NutriBullets. It's like my kitchen help, yeah. Okay, for this dressing, I made what I call a jam jar dressing. Jam jar dressing means I didn't blend it. There's nothing like garlic or ginger in this which needed to be blended. So this is more like a lazy dressing, and plus it's already in a jar, so I don't need to wash anything up, and I can use it and then put it in the fridge and keep it there for my next salad. And then I've already done one of the steps, which is, to be honest, the step which takes the longest and also adds the most flavor. So you'll be more inclined to then figure out another salad out of your prep, if that makes sense. So from a meal prep perspective, make salad dressings in larger quantities because they keep for long, and because it will make you more inclined to like just figure something out with what's in your fridge, following the principles I've given you, and you know your dressing is already there made. Trust me, it works. It's like an incentive because you know you like the dressing, so then you want to make the salad. So this is a jam jar salad. This is using tahini. Tahini is also now very readily available. There's two really good ones. One is from Urban Platter, and the other one is a new brand called Natuf. It's actually based in Indonesia, but you can buy online. And it's smooth, creamy, high quality tahini. And in this case, this is actually, other than the olive oil which I put into the lentils themselves, if you are trying to be oil free because you're like whole food, plant based, then you can make this dressing without oil. So this is doesn't have any oil in it.
How is this dressing made?
So basically this dressing, the tahini is the oil. It is the fat. So I put a lot of tahini, like half, and then I put lemon, and then I put water, like filtered filtered room temperature water, because otherwise it's too thick, right? Because tahini is thick. And then I put like lots of black pepper and dried herbs and salt. And I could, if I wanted to, put again a little bit of jaggery. I actually didn't in this case because I know that I've got some sweetness in here. I just shook it. Honestly, I just shook it like this. The water, the tahini, and the lemon juice and all the herbs and everything came, and I've got like a nice, thick, creamy dressing.
And here also the same ratio for tahini.
Yeah, same ratio. Don't mess with those ratios, because sometimes if I freestyle it without really thinking and I start squeezing loads of lemon, and you don't realize that a lot of lemon is coming out, and then it's very lemony. And then you have to spend even more time adding the tahini more, and again trying to get the ratio right. So like less is more. Just try to follow those ratios. Then with the flavors, you freestyle. I put like black pepper and herbs. You might want to add, like, honestly, another amazing dressing is like breaking the rule of what I was saying about pick your flavor camp. This is Asian, this is Mediterranean. A tahini tamari dressing, tahini and soy sauce together, it like breaks the rule, right? It's two different regions which don't normally mix. But that, then again, you need to add jaggery. So basically, if you're adding something super salty like miso and tamari or soy sauce, well, I'll just call it soy sauce for the sake of soy sauce. In the cafe, we use tamari because of gluten-free. But in your home, you can just use soy sauce if you want to. But then you do need to add a little bit of jaggery because it's too salty.
Tahini, you could just make it at home also.
You can.
That's just a sesame seed paste, right? Just
Yeah.
usually,
It takes ages.
Sarah, why, can this also have garlic in it, or is it some
You-
conscious decision of not adding it in this?
Literally no consciousness, just feeling lazy, wanting to make a jam jar. If I had finely chopped a garlic, I could still make a jam jar dressing. I couldn't be bothered to do that. That is just me being honest. You could absolutely add garlic into this and it would be delicious. You should add garlic into this.
and what kind of herbs have you added?
I've just added dried, you just buy like something called herbs de Provence. It's just like in the supermarket, in every supermarket. I put those. But like any dried herb, dried mint would be amazing. Dried mint gives a more Middle Eastern, like Palestinian kind of cooking. But these herbs de Provence give a more Italian thing. But like, don't worry too much about region to region. Like, the rules are there to be broken, but it's almost like you want to be cohesive, but without being strict, I would say, when you're thinking about regions. So like I was saying, like, I can't explain it exactly, but like putting roast cherry tomatoes in an otherwise more Asian-y salad is fine to me. But like, I don't know, putting roast cauliflower in that maybe just like wouldn't work as well. I can't exactly explain it. The rules are there to be broken. It does work to mix things up, but you do want to think like, is this cohesively from a region? Do these flavors make sense together? The veg, the type of pulse, etc.
Fresh mint can also be.
Yeah. Fresh herbs we've already put into it, but you can also put it in the dressing, but that would reduce the shelf life. If you put fresh herbs in your dressing, they'll be the first thing to go bad. So if you want to really be a lazy cook and make a large volume and keep it in the fridge, better to use dried herbs in your dressing. That isn't to say it's not great to put fresh herbs in your dressing. Garlic, if it's just one clove with this much fat around it, it will largely not. But the herb will start to go black because garlic can be preserved in that way, but a leaf can't. A leaf will always disintegrate. Again, I don't know like enough about physics to understand that, but definitely garlic will be fine and it wouldn't make it go bad faster. But of course, anything with fresh ingredients will eventually go bad. I mean, I don't know about you, but if you buy packaged dressings from the supermarket, I don't know whether this ever happened to anyone, but like it can be in your fridge for 3 years. That has happened to me, where it's like just randomly in the back of the fridge. It hasn't gone bad. It's full of preservatives and there's nothing fresh in it. They'll have used garlic powder or something. So if you put fresh garlic, it will eventually go bad. But if you're talking about having like, you're not talking about keeping it for years, you're talking about keeping it for weeks, you're fine, I would say. Okay, so what I'm going to do with this one is because the leaf doesn't need to be massaged, I'm going to put most of the dressing into the salad first, not onto the leaf. And I'm going to toss it. Right? So this is giving that creamy texture. I'm going to save some to drizzle on the top because it will look nice. And I'm just going to put, so I've just mixed it as lightly as I can because now we've got the tomatoes in there. There's a real risk of turning this into a paste. So we don't want that. So now I've got my base, okay? And it's full of flavor, I think so. Because I've salted everything individually. It's really nice. So now, I didn't have a bowl big enough to, obviously if you were making this at home, this is the point you'd want to put it in a nice serving bowl for your friends coming over, not in this like industrial kitchen piece of equipment. But say your salad is at this point looking like that. So now I want to like add a bit more freshness to the top. So I might scatter some cherry tomatoes on the top and I'm going to put my leaves on the top because I'm not going to serve it instantly, right? So on my dinner party table or whatever. And this is where we're talking about the meal prep, right? If we were meal prepping it, I would stop there and I would keep it in the fridge. And then I would, everything I'm doing now, I would add at a later date, like when I'm about to eat it. But for a dinner party, I'm going to put the leaves on the top and I might just dress it lightly with olive oil because that would be just nice. It's a little, pardon? Oh, sorry, this is arugula. I really like arugula. I really like all flavors, leaves with flavor more than like just lettuce. So another thing that works is methi leaves instead of arugula. Yeah, but so is arugula. Arugula is famously, like when it's proper, it's also very bitter, which is why, to me, again, it's not a bowl of arugula as the salad. It's actually the topping. It's almost like an insanely heavy garnish than the salad. It's not the body of the salad. Same with methi. You can actually wash it, cut the leaves, and have them on the top in the same way, and it's the same vibe as arugula. It's not the same, but it's the same vibe. Whereas kale, you can really have it as the body. But lettuce is neither here nor there. You can't have it as the body. It will become a soggy mess. But if you just have it on the top, it's offering you nothing. It's offering you no flavor. Like it's just there. So you can still use it if you want to. But I don't use it. Pardon?
Which lettuce?
Yeah. I mean, maybe Shamik can talk more about what lettuces he has. Iceberg to me like is a 90s thing. It's not a modern thing. But romaine lettuce, butterhead, that one which is called Red Lolo or something like that. All of them are nice, they look nice, they have some nutrition, and they're very hydrating. But they don't have any flavor, and they will wilt much faster than this, even arugula or methi. They wilt so fast. And then they look bad. They don't look appetizing.
If you have to use cabbage shreds,
Cabbage, yeah. Shredded cabbage is great, especially for Asian. We use a lot of shredded cabbage as the base of our salads. Thank you for saying that. I'd forgotten to mention. Cabbage is more like a veg which you have to cook, but in a salad, as long as you shred it very, very, very finely, like a fine shred, yeah, thin, even with carrot, it forms the base of an Asian salad really nicely.
and between the white and red cabbage,
Red looks better, but both. Do a mix of both. But if you had to pick one, do red purple. It looks so much better. But that's aesthetic.
and you want to add it as is, or you want to add it with a little bit of massaging like
Yeah, you will massage it a little bit. Actually, it's best massaged with lemon, not with oil. Again, I can't explain why exactly, but if you massage the cabbage with lemon, it like becomes really uniform in its color, and it adds a burst of freshness. And you can add that as your base with a mixture of kale and carrots.
Lemon and salt or just lemon?
Little, not too much salt, just lemon makes it look, I can't explain, like it makes it fully purple. It brings out the color, yeah. It brings out the color. It makes it more purple. It looks really good.
The oil that you added to the leaves is enough for the digestion. That we are mixing in cake that we need to add a lot of dressing.
Yeah, but you could just use oil as well. So now,
Microgreens, you have any take on microgreens?
I love microgreens. I don't have any, but I would put microgreens on the top of everything. They're great. They add flavor as well, which is really nice. Like coriander microgreens actually have a nice flavor. Mustard microgreens actually have a flavor, and they are like dense in nutrients. You can add microgreens literally on the top of everything you eat, like as a garnish, whether it's hot or a salad. I just want to get to crunch because I want you guys to eat this. So this is a mixture of sunflower, pumpkin, almonds, and buckwheat groats, which is like raw buckwheat, which we've toasted in the oven with paprika, salt, coriander powder, and chili powder to make what we call our in-house crunchy mix, which we make.
it
And
does not have a name. It's your
we call it dukkha, but it's very wrong to call it that because it's not true to what is real dukkha, which is a Middle Eastern spice blend. But still, that name has stuck, so that is what we call it.
Roasted buckwheat, you said?
Yeah,
And
almonds, sunflower, and pumpkin. So I'm adding this on the top, and I'm also going to add more pomegranate seeds. And maybe just some like tomatoes in the middle. And I'm gonna just okay. So this is my final salad, and if that was in like a wooden bowl, it would look really nice. And it's like a dinner party dish. It's impressive, it will look nice, people will want to eat it. With this one, I might just do a quick one more massage and then put a bit more hemp, and then I'll start serving it to you because I think you're hungry